Hi, my name is John Peña of Peña El Paso, and this is for our Relocating Buyer Experience program. This is going to be a 6-part video series, and part 1 is all about lending. So if you're going to buy a home, unless you are paying cash for that home, you're going to need to get a home loan. In order to do that, this is not something that happens in the blink of an eye. This is something that's going to take a little upfront kind of prep work on your part, and you want to get started on this pretty much right away, because this is what's going to help you understand how much home you can afford, right? So that we can have a realistic budget. If we start looking at homes that are over your realistic budget, we're essentially wasting our time. And if we're looking at homes that you think, that your budget is, much less than it actually is, well, then we're probably wasting our time too, because once you get that pre-approval from a lender, chances are you're going to be like, oh, I can afford this much. Let's start looking around there. So, a couple of notes on securing and finding a home mortgage or a lender. Now, you can do this a number of ways. You can go to your local bank that you may already have a relationship with. You can go online to one of the big online lenders, but I would humbly suggest that you give a lot of consideration to maybe going with a local lender here in El Paso. And the reason that I recommend that to all of our buyers is because the local lenders, they know El Paso, they know the people that really matter once the transaction gets underway. I'm talking about home inspectors, and I'm talking about appraisers, I'm talking about title companies. These people are going to be able to facilitate a much smoother and in many times quicker transaction for you than a lender who is out of town and maybe who doesn't know the area, who doesn't know the market, and who doesn't know the different third-party vendors in the area. So I would strongly recommend you consider at least touching base with a local lender here. I can recommend a couple for you, and at least include one local lender when you're searching around, because as a buyer, you can be a smart buyer and kind of comparison shop and see, who's going to give you the best terms, who's going to give you the best rate. But like I said, I would strongly encourage you to consider that local lender. The next thing that you're going to do is you are going to want to come with a pre-qualification or a pre-approval letter. And once you start submitting offers, once I start submitting offers on your behalf, I'm going to need to be able to include that pre-approval letter with the offer so that the seller can know, hey, this is a legitimate, serious buyer. They've already talked to a lender. The lender says that they are ready to give them a loan for this amount, and I am confident that they could purchase my home if we chose to go with their offer. That pre-qualification, pre-approval letter, that is very, very, very important, and really it's a necessity once we get to that point where we start submitting offers on your behalf. And finally, since you're kind of in this point right before you're getting ready to start seriously looking at homes, you're going to start reaching out to lenders if you haven't done so already. You want to be really careful not to make any big financial changes in your life, okay? This is not that if you're thinking about buying a home with a lender, this is not the time to go out and buy a new car. This is not the time to, rack up a bunch of credit card debt. Instead, this is the time to have some savings established, pay down your credit, make sure that your credit scores are on the up and up. So you want to make wise financial decisions, because if you make some reckless financial decisions before you even get started, chances are the lenders are going to look at that. Those are going to be red flags, and they may not be willing to lend you money to buy a home in wonderful El Paso.